Hey guys, I just wanted to give you an update on what's going on with me. Kind of getting hooked to making videos recently. So pretty much we had a snowstorm here maybe about 2 days ago. Well, it kind of went into yesterday too, but we have about a little over a foot of snow. And because I park on the street here in Albany, we had a snow emergency. And so what that means for people who don't get snow is you have to park on the odd or even side of the street for 24 hours. And if you're not on the correct side, they will tow you away or give you a ticket. Usually you get a ticket, but sometimes it'll, tow your car away, and that's like $200 to get back. So usually they call even side. And so I knew when the storm started to move my car, and I parked it on the even side. That way, for the first 24 hours, I didn't have to move it. And so that's what I did. I parked on even, and they did call the even side for the snow emergency. And so what I did is I just kind of waited, and I thought, well, once the streets are plowed a little bit, I'll just go dig my car out. And that's usually not so much of a problem, except for I woke up, well, I went to bed last night not really feeling that great, and like my heart was racing a lot. It's still doing that on and off, but not as much as it used to, thankfully. Um, but then I couldn't sleep because I kept thinking, oh, what if I don't feel that well? When I wake up, how am I going to dig my car out? Am I going to have my roommate, do it for me? And that's going to probably piss him off because he's not going to want to dig out the car and everything. So I don't know. I just kind of like basically I slept on and off the whole night. I only got 5 hours of sleep. And I woke up this morning with this pit in my stomach. I just felt sick because I knew that I didn't feel right. I knew that I had to dig this freaking car out of the snow. And so I woke up at 9 o'clock this morning. I went to bed pretty late. And I knew that he didn't get up until 11 o'clock to get ready for work. And so I knew I was going to have to ask him, to help get my car out. And I just didn't know if he was going to want to or not. And if I didn't move it by tonight and I wasn't able to do it myself, they would tow it away. And I just was thinking, crap, it built a lot of anxiety in me. Like I was kind of sitting here on the computer this morning checking Facebook, and I just felt out of breath. And I knew that this was just, anxiety. So it wasn't scaring me. It was just an uncomfortable feeling, you know, almost fell. As you guys know that have anxiety, it is just uncomfortable. And it's so ridiculous. I mean, it's just moving a car. But I just didn't know if my heart standing was going so fast, like how that would be for me to exert myself, at that point. But he did wake up and he didn't really seem to care too much. I mean, I don't think he wanted to do it, but I went out with him and I helped. I didn't make him do it all by himself. And so finally, I got the car out. And then we do have a parking lot here at the complex, which I put it in. Um, the reason why I don't leave it there before the storm is it's the same thing applies to the complex. They'll tow your car away if you don't shovel your parking space out within 24 hours. So it's almost easier to leave it on the street, dig it out, and then put it into the lot, so you can avoid the other night snow emergency when it's on the odd side. So I did that, and then he was getting ready for work, and I felt kind of bad because like he doesn't have a car, and he walks to and from work, and that takes him about an hour, each way. And so I was kind of hungry, and I don't know. I thought, well, maybe I want to get another salad from McDonald's, and so when he got done with the shower, I was just like, well, I'll take you to work. Hopefully, the space in the parking lot will still be there when I get back. And so he was like, okay. And so I took him there, and then I got the salad from McDonald's. And then on the way home, I passed the post office, which I have a post office box at. And if you watch some of my videos, you know that I have that posted for people who want to send something or have a question that maybe necessarily are older and don't have email or have email but just aren't, really into using it. So I have that up in case anyone ever needs to send me something. And this person in England who I talk to quite often, he had sent me a Christmas card and he kept saying, did you get it yet? And I said, well, no, I didn't, go to my post office box yet because I don't tend to go that often, like every few months. And the last time, because of everything that had happened with me being really sick, I hadn't been there at one point for almost a year. And so, you know, I just don't go that frequently, is my point. So on the way home, I saw it and I was like, okay, let me stop here and pick up that card that he sent me because I keep saying that I will and I'm just not doing it. And I'm right here, right now. So I park my car and they have meters on the street here. And you have to remember, I don't personally go outside a lot, so I'm very isolated from the world. So things change, like buildings suddenly are erected in Albany, and I'm like, oh, when did this go up? And it just, everything changes because when you don't go outside a lot, you just don't notice that things are happening, in the outside world. And so I pull over and I go to the meter and I come out and I take a nickel and I put a nickel in the meter and it jammed. And I'm like, what the hell? You know? And I realize it says quarters only. So I guess the meters in Albany don't take nickels and dimes anymore. They only take quarters. So then it was stuck and there was no other parking space. And I was like, okay, well, it's only going to take me a minute to run in to get, the stuff at the post office box. So I go in and the first corridor is where the post office boxes are. And then you go through a second door and you can go into the post office. So I take my key and all of a sudden my mind went blank. I had absolutely no idea what post office box number was mine. So I'm looking at them all. I'm like, I know it's like 85 or 84 or something. And so I tried my key in a couple of them and they wouldn't open. And I thought, and I could hear the people, behind the post office boxes that, separate the mail. I thought, oh God, they're going to think, who's sticking their key in every box or trying to open the boxes? So I waited a couple minutes and I kept trying to picture my videos that I put up, visually in my head, trying to picture what does it say? It says, Brian Baxter, post office box, and I couldn't get it. And so I was like, all right, crap, because now my car's sitting there and the meter is like has no coins in it. It's flashing saying, with that red thing that it has no money in it or expired or whatever it says. And so I go in and there's only one person in front of me, and thankfully she was just returning a book that she didn't want or something. So he takes care of that and she paid like, $2 and something to send it back. And then I get up there and, you know, there's a guy who works there still, but he wasn't there today and he's really nice. And this other guy, it's not like he's not nice usually, it's just that he's more, I don't know, like he hates his job or something. So I get up to him, there's no one behind me, so it's not like there's a line or anything. And I just said to him, which is honest, I said, I don't remember what my post office box number is, and I showed him that I had the key, and I was getting ready to get my ID out too, so he knew that I was who I was saying I was. And I said, "Is there any way, you can look that up?" And he just like had this attitude, and he was like, "Oh, well, I'd have to log on the computer for that." And I was just like, "Okay," kind of thinking, "Well, yeah, could you?" And he was like, well, the guy in the back might have the computer locked, and if it's locked, we'll just have to screw it. And he like storms off, and I was just like, oh. And before I even got to him, I forgot to say, like, when the woman was paying for her thing, I wasn't feeling particularly nervous. And so I'm standing there in line, I got this hot flash come over me, like the kind that you get right before you pass out. And since I have fainted before, I know what that feels like, but sometimes I just get that sensation anyway. And I thought, oh God, should I leave? Should I stay? But obviously I stayed. And so he goes into the back, and apparently the computer's locked. And so he comes out, and he's just like, well, do you have any idea what any of the numbers on your box are? And I was just like, yeah, it's like 85 or 84, and it's a small post office box, so it's the ones on the top. I just can't remember exactly what the number is. And he's just like, oh, what a day, and all this stuff. And he's like, just really pissed. And so he comes out, and he's just like, yeah, it's 8533. And I was like, oh, okay, thank you, and everything. And then he just like stormed off into the back. And I thought, God, asshole. You know? And so I go out and I open it and I get the stuff out. And there was like, a couple things in there. But the card that the person sent me wasn't there. And I emailed him and told him I finally got it. And he knows I like cats. So it was kind of cute because you can see the little, cat with the Christmas hat on. So that was nice of him to send. He's just like, well, maybe next year I can just send it directly to your address if you trust me. I'm like, yeah, I trust you. You're in the UK. It's not like you can come stalk me or anything. So we did that, and then I came home, and the parking spot was still there, and I didn't get a ticket, thankfully, um, where I parked at the meter. And so I parked there, and I came back in, and then pretty much that's about it. I mean, I haven't really done anything today. I noticed that there was an article on MSNBC and a couple other places that were talking about how the astrology signs, have changed, that because the Earth isn't in the same position that it was, 3,000 years ago, that now you have to look up exactly what sign you are now and all these things. And of course, the papers are probably going to still use the old ones, but technically, I always thought that I was a Taurus, but according to where the Earth is positioned now, I'm actually in Aries. So I don't know how that just feels weird. But people on my Facebook were complaining too. They're like, "Oh, I like being a Leo or a Libra," or the other person had been an Aries, and I'm like, "Well, I'm an Aries now." So we'll see if they ever change anything in the papers or if they still go by the 3,000 years ago thing. And that's it really for today. Nothing that drastic or informative, just kind of what happened today. Maybe I'll update tomorrow, I'm not sure, but I guess don't get used to me doing videos every day. If, I tend to go in spurts with things and eventually I'll just disappear. So I'll be okay when I do that. It's just right now I just feel like talking and being chatty with people and just putting stuff out there. So anyway, I hope you guys have a good day and I will talk to you all probably tomorrow. Bye. 2 days ago, well, it kind of went into yesterday too, but we have about a little over a foot of snow, and because I park on the street here in Albany, we had a snow emergency. And so what that means for people who don't get snow is what I did is I just kind of waited, and I thought, well, once the streets are plowed a little bit, I'll just go dig my car out, and that's usually not so much of a problem, except for I woke up, well, I went to bed last night not really feeling that great. Hey guys, I just wanted to give you an update on what's going on with me. Kind of getting hooked to making videos recently. So pretty much we had a snowstorm here, about at the park on the odd or even side of the street for 24 hours. And if you're not on the correct side, they will tow you away or give you a ticket. Usually you get a ticket, but sometimes it'll, tow your car away, and that's like $200 to get back. So usually they call even side, and so I knew when the storm started to move my car, and I parked it on the even side. That way, for the first 24 hours, I didn't have to move it. And so that's what I did. I parked on even, and they did call the even side for the snow emergency. And so